Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family. We chose this one. This is episode 276, Life in the Fast Lane, number, I already forget, Too Fast, Too Furious. No, I think it's higher than that. Hold on. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe, too.
And there's no sponsors for this. I thought I was going to buy myself some time by letting you do that, but I'm just going to vamp myself while I figure out. Doxing Elon's Chopper was number 5. This is number 6.
I was close. Okay.
Number 6, Too Fast, Too Forever, Life in the Fast Lane. Number 6, Joe.
What?
We got news. We got Fast and Furious news. So this is news I don't think you know yet.
It didn't drop immediately after we finished recording this episode?
No.
Okay.
Well, this is not actually news. This is just kind of funny, sort of whatever news.
Okay. Cool.
There's actual news like Fast X, Fast 10. Whatever trailer on Feb 10. We will have a bonus episode then, so we're just a few short weeks out from that. But
Super Bowl, yeah.
There is news from today.
What?
Title of this article: Vin Diesel not starring in Avatar sequels after all, says producer John Landau. Quote, people took that out of context. Now, do you remember when I was seeing Avatar: The Way of Water? I'm like, hey, it's so weird. Michelle Rodriguez in the first one, Vin Diesel going to be in the second one. And I get home, I'm like, guess what? Vin not in this movie.
I do remember this, and I saw it too, but yeah, there's nowhere that Vin would have been, right? We didn't, miss him or something.
He's not in there. So
okay,
I knew that he wasn't in the second one, because I think I had found the thing that was just he's not in 2, but still maybe he's in a future one, who knows, whatever. But he posted, so once again, the Fast and Furious universe, the movies and the actors intertwine with Instagram in a way that a lot of people are, but this franchise seems specifically bad
Instagram
things happen
heavy.
on Instagram.
Yes, yeah, I agree. Go ahead.
So he posted a video on Instagram with James Cameron while they were on the Avatar set. And he said, there's one person in Hollywood, this is a quote, there's one person in Hollywood I've always wanted to work with and learn from, and so all things come, I guess, to those who wait. Which, taken on its face, seems like, hey, I'm in Avatar.
Yeah, and does he say, so to all things come? Not all good things come?
So all things come, I guess, to those that wait. I guess he's just saying, I've always wanted to work with James Cameron, now here I am, things happen, right?
Okay.
So then, as the clickbait culture, people reporting from Instagram as things happen, a lot of articles were like, Vin appears to join Avatar sequels, right? And then he tells MTV a couple days later, quote, I love James Cameron. I love the series. I think it's safe to say we'll be working together.
Is he trying to strong-arm himself into Avatar?
I don't know, because then
okay.
Now John Landau, the producer of the movies, says, quote, Vin was a fan. He came in, visited the set to see what we were doing, and people took that out of context.
Okay, so he kind of backtracks. Vin alludes to him being in Avatar, and then the producer comes out and goes, he was just on set having fun and, meeting James Cameron.
I would say alludes is right, but I feel like that's too gentle for what he did. He's basically just hey man, I'm in Avatar. And people are like, are you in Avatar? He's like, I think it's safe to say that I'm in Avatar. And then he's not in Avatar.
It is the most Vin move he could have done, I think.
Yeah, so, because I remember, he was listed on IMDb, rumored or whatever, or,
sure,
he was
whatever.
tied, and then
yeah.
I watched the movie, and I was like, I don't see him in here, but, half the movie's blue, and, whatever, and
exactly. We could have
missed
him.
No one really seems like Vin, right? It's not
yeah.
And I'm just who? And then I looked it up, and I think we briefly talked about it, maybe not on here, but maybe just on Facebook, just I don't think he's in the movie. Apparently he was never in the movie. He might not be in any of the movies. He's just a fan posting on Instagram. So, cool.
Yeah, he got to meet James Cameron, and all things come to those that wait. So.
Uh-huh. So maybe if he waits, Joe, maybe if we wait long enough, we'll be in the Avatar movies.
I think we should just go on Instagram and just post that we are in the Fast 10.
I was thinking, oh, okay, hold on. This is for I'm gonna
just
spoil.
Be surprise, guys, we're in Fast 10, or all things come to those that wait, and everybody's gonna be like, oh my god, did they really get into Fast 10? And it's gonna be well, it's safe to say that we'll probably be in Fast 10.
I want to share. This is for trivia for the movie, the Patreon bonus movie that we're going to do this week, Ralph Breaks the Internet. This is
okay.
the lowest rated trivia on IMDb. It's 0 of 3 people. 0 of 3 people found this interesting. But I
Okay.
feel like this is something we have to do. This
Okay.
is verbatim for Ralph Breaks the Internet, Michael McGann's pick, which we're going to talk about on the Patreon, toofast2forever.com
I'm
later this
stoked.
week. Go check it
Yep.
out there. Verbatim, Now Playing Podcast reviewed Ralph Breaks the Internet. This film received 3 recommends. And I was thinking when I read that,
What?
we got to have Wes, I mean, not Wes, because Wes is historically bad at submitting IMDb trivia, but we need someone to go to like Fast X and be like, Too Fast, Too Forever reviewed this movie. They gave it 2 recommends.
Okay. Oh, I like that.
Because
Okay.
like it's on, like people don't find it useful, but like that's marketing for that podcast.
That absolutely is true. Yeah.
And that will be our closest tie to the Fastiverse, at least according to IMDb. So, if you're out there and if you want to give it a shot, any trivia you submit for any movie we've talked about or not, just be like, this
No,
was
no.
not covered. This was not covered by the Too Fast, Too Forever
I got
podcast.
I got a better idea.
Okay, go for it.
It's a combo of the 2 ideas together.
Mm-hmm.
It is that we announce that we're in Fast 10 and then somebody submits that the podcast is in the movie.
As mentioned on there's like we can cite sources because you've said multiple times. I just want them to be listening to the show in the movies. Yeah, so just go out there, just cause some chaos.
That's what I mean. Like we announce it and then we tell them like then we say okay, we're going to be in it and then we confirm that we're in it in the trivia.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it works.
if they don't cast us, they'll look bad.
I think they already look bad by
Yeah, maybe.
but I mean, we're in the movie, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Other news, Young Rock Season 3 finale, just about a month out on Feb 24. So we haven't figured out, you and I have not discussed how we're going to cover that, but we will cover that somehow.
Yes.
Whether a bonus episode or maybe one a week or something. But Young Rock Season 3, if you're, if I don't know if anybody's watching it. Like nobody's, I haven't read the emails that we got today. I don't know if people are watching it, but it seems like a lower key season than the first 2.
So I'm glad you brought that up because I finally have, spent the weekend watching Super Wildcard Weekend, and when I was watching one, I think we talked about it briefly this morning
Uh,
behind the scenes, but I'm thinking it was Peacock, right? It's on Peacock.
yes, correct. Yep.
Okay, so I was watching NBC for one of the games, and I finally saw a commercial that was like, all of this is available on Peacock, and the reel for like other shows that you can watch on Peacock, one of them had a brief clip of Young Rock.
Yeah.
So not like a full commercial,
But
but
they're acknowledging that.
it exists now
Right.
10 episodes into the season or whatever. So
Mm-hmm. It's out there if you want some more of that. I'm curious to see, because by the time we cover it, they will have all aired, and so like ratings numbers for every episode will be there. And I think I looked when I looked earlier this season, they were all like way less seen than the first 2 seasons. But I'll find
yeah.
out because we've talked about it on here multiple times. They're not. It's you don't know that it's happening. Like they're not pushing it in a way that they did for the first 2 seasons, but it's still on TV.
Yeah, even this that I saw, it was just like Young Rock exists. Not that like there's a new season of Young Rock, you should be
Mm-hmm.
watching it. It's just like, oh, Young Rock is one of our original shows that we
Right.
have.
Yeah. So I don't know. I
It's
don't know.
weird, man. Yep.
Another bit of news, they cast, and this is I think just like they didn't know the actor who played, but Brian Marcos, the young son of Dominic Toretto, is now being played by Leo Abello Perry, he was in the Cheaper by the Dozen movie recently. He was in one episode of Blackish, but he is now Brian Marcos in Fast 10. And he is going to be he's turning 10 this year, so he's probably like 9. But we were doing, I posted this on our Twitter, and people were trying to deduce if there was another time jump or not. And the sort of the sum of it, I don't know if you saw the replies, was basically just like, this franchise doesn't care how old people are, who knows? But it seems like the actor who plays Brian, young baby Brian, is now going to be about 9. So
And he was about 2 or 3 in the last one.
yeah, and that came out in 21. So this is 2 years later, and he's aged 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, that tracks.
So you never know. Who knows?
I wanted to talk to you about this. How do you feel about baby Brian not being one of Vin's kids? I don't know how old they are, but I feel like the last time we saw the video when he like announced that it was going to be called Fast X, his son is probably
Oh,
right
you
around
mean okay?
10.
So you were actually saying this in a way. I was hearing you say it in a way that we confuse things, but you're saying actually the actor Vin Diesel having one of his kids play his son on
Biological
screen.
children play baby Brian. It seems like that would be a very Vin Diesel move.
Mm,
Like that's like the most familial thing you can do, right? Like
mm-hmm.
to like include your kid in the movie. Do you think that would have been a good idea, a bad idea? Do you like that idea? Do you wish that happened? Do you prefer that it be an actor? What do you think about this?
I think it's fine either way. The thing that I'm sort of maybe, I don't know, confused or surprised by, I want to make sure that I use the right words here, is that this kid um, looks black, and Vin not black, Elsa Pataki definitely not black. I'm trying to figure out, like, take a look at this picture, and I mean, like, I know that they've always played fast and loose with both ages and like what nationality, what ethnicity Vin Diesel or any of the Treados are, right? And like
Yeah,
Vin Diesel even,
yeah.
but like those are two pretty white people. I don't,
He's a citizen of the world.
I guess so. So like,
This kid looks like, yeah, kind of black, kind of Hispanic.
he looks like, honestly, his picture on IMDb looks like he's young Rock.
I thought so too. Yes, yes. He definitely could play like a young rock child.
He's got the high top fade, right? So like, I don't
Yeah.
know what they're doing. I think having one of Vin's kids would make more sense because at least they would look like him, as opposed to this kid who does not look like him. Unless there's a twist that like it's actually because you know that Elena worked for Hobbs. What if they had a kid and then she's raising
And Vin is raising the rocks. Oh,
that Dom is raising Hobbs's kid, and that's Hobbs's return to the franchise. Daddy issues.
dude. Poor Emrod is so boned. Like Letty is raising a bastard child that might not even be her lover's child. She's just out here like third degree stepmom.
Yes, correct.
This kid in the cheaper by the dozen thing, he does look like a little young. You know what I mean? Like it seems like he could like even if he is 10, it seems like he could play about 7.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But even that's like
So I think at best, Baby Brian, at best in F9 he was 4. He's probably not 4. He's probably 3 or maybe 2, but like at best 4. And so youngest here would be 7 maybe, and it's still 2 years. So like there's some, I don't think there's a way that we could realistically not have another time jump. I'm trying to do like best case scenario on both ends of the spectrum in terms of like how old the kid was then, how old the kid is now, how much
yeah.
time elapsed in between. And I can't make the math work again, but also, F9 also had the 1989. It's like, no, it wasn't 89. What are we doing?
It was not 89, yeah.
Yeah.
They weren't
The only other
16
news that I
in
have,
89. Yeah.
the last bit of news is something that Michael Moser, I think, sent to us on Instagram, that there's this new series on Vice, or new season of a series on Vice called Icons Unearthed, and the third season is all about Fast and Furious. I know you were excited about this. Have you, I don't know if this is on. Have you watched it? Are you going to watch it? Because I don't know if I'm going to.
I would like to. I think we should probably cover, like, we should at least watch the first one and then decide if we want to cover it. How do you feel about that?
I think you should watch it and see if
Okay.
it's worth seeing,
Okay.
worth talking about.
Let me put a tab up. What's it called? One more time.
Icons Unearthed. The first season was all about Star Wars. The second season was all about The Simpsons. And the third season is all about The Fast and Furious, supposedly. So it's not listed on IMDb yet, but I feel like the tweets that we got about it suggested that it was already out or coming out or something. So
It's yeah, I was just looking on IMDb so I could like kind of make a note, leave this tab open. And yeah, it doesn't seem like they have any information about it. So
this says coming to Vice TV in 2023, but I feel like there was another thing that said it was coming out soon or something, but yeah. So Icons Unearthed Fast and Furious here, all about the true street racing story that inspired the iconic franchise.
this is gonna be like Racer X, Underground, the
Yeah.
article, Craig Lieberman.
But like they have Tyrese in there interviews, they have Chad
Oh,
Lindbergh in
cool.
there as interviews, right?
Cool.
So they have Kenneth Lee in there as interviews. So I don't know when this is coming out. Oh no, it's new series premieres Monday, January 16th, which is last night as we record this. So
Okay,
go
cool.
see if you can hunt it down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that they moved. I have the Vice channel on Sling,
Okay.
but I think that they shut the channel down and maybe have moved to purely YouTube again?
Icons Unearthed Fast and Furious on YouTube, right?
Yep.
46 minutes long. This billion-dollar blockbuster franchise begins with a magazine article that inspires Universal to make a movie about the underground world of illegal street racing. New episodes Monday 9 p.m. only on Vice TV.
Or YouTube, Vice TV channel. I
I
love
guess so.
that. Only on Vice TV.
Or here.
Or here, yeah.
Yeah, so watch that whenever you get to it. Report back. Let us know if it's good. And
Cool.
I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like documentary stuff is gonna that might be the kind of thing where it's just like, oh yeah, like it was cool, but like here's like we only learned like 3 new things, and here's what I learned. Like you could just sort of report back. You know what I
That's
mean?
fair.
Like
Yep,
if it's
100%.
great,
I get
I will
you.
watch
I got
it.
the link pulled up.
Cool.
Cool. I'll give this a watch. Yeah, I could probably watch it after we record.
Is there any other news that you have seen or heard about in the last few weeks?
No, that was the. I wanted to talk about Young Rock a little bit, even though that's tangential, and Dom's son. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think for the next episode, this episode will come out like the 24th, I think. So basically around the time we record the next episode will be the trailer drop, but we will do a separate episode of that and put that up, the same day that we record it. Because it's going to be like over 3 minutes long, right? So it's going to be a long-ass trailer. So
Yeah.
get excited for lots of spoilers maybe, or who knows?
Yeah, we could watch it. We could watch it live together because I'm sure it's going to be on YouTube immediately.
Yep.
Because like once you see the first one, like we're gonna remember everything about the first one, right?
Right.
So,
Correct.
and
So
then we'll do our normal handshake, Joey, and I'll watch the second one,
thank you so much.
no problem, and we'll go from there.
Cool. I also want to give a shout out to our patrons, toofast2forever.com. I said we're doing a bonus episode of Ralph Breaks the Internet. We got a bunch of bonus
Yes.
episodes coming up in short order, it feels like. So go to toofast2forever.com. Even $1 a month gets you in the door. Shout out to Cassie Wilson, Ben Milliman, Nick Burris, Alex Ellenen, Justin Kleiman, and Brian Rodriguez of High School Slumber
Ooh.
Party. Haley Gerbies, Wes Hampton, Jerry Robinson, Dan the Duke, Hayden Renato, D. Donato, Michael McGann, Lane Middleton, Lindsay Lewandowski, Nate Milton of the Kings of Sport, Jason Rainey, Tom Price, Mike Gallier, and Jessica Collins, a.k.a. Montez. Thank you all for supporting us at the $5 a month level or above. Again, every level of the Patreon gets the bonus episodes, gets early access to all the episodes. Higher tiers can pick what we watch and also get stickers and handwritten notes in the mail from us. So toofast2forever.com, please and thank you. But Joe, extracurricular activities. Oh, we also have a store over on TeePublic. Oh, this is kind of funny.
What?
When I created the TeePublic store, which used to be a toofast2forever.shop, we talked about we don't have that anymore. So it's teepublic.com/whatever. But for whatever reason, when you create a TeePublic store, I wanted our username to be toofast2forever for obvious reasons. And when it made the account, it made it as fast2forever. It dropped the first 2. And I was like, this is annoying. And I emailed someone, I just never heard back. I'm like,
Okay.
whatever. Who cares? We have the domain. It's going to be fine. Who cares?
Yes.
So John made a store for $19.99 the podcast. And he's got a
Okay.
couple different designs over there. So if you think about what that podcast is called and what happened to Too Fast, Too Forever, do you want to take a guess on what the username for 1999 the podcast is over on TeePublic?
999 the podcast.
Nope. Even better.
9 the podcast.
Nope. Even better.
The podcast.
The podcast. So we are just the podcast on TeePublic, which I think is very, very funny.
That's
just
awesome.
It's
Yeah.
like we are the podcast.
You're the
on
most
TeePublic.
premier and dedicated podcast on TeePublic.
But Joe, extracurricular activities, what have you been up to since we doxed Elon's chopper?
I've been trying to lay low just to like not, get into anything weird, but I have done some fun stuff lately.
Cool.
Besides watching a ton of sports because it was Super Wild Card weekend.
I actually watched most of all 6 games, which I feel like is a record for me because I've only watched the Vikings this year. So I watched most football this weekend, which was very exciting.
That is exciting, and there was a lot of good games. You know what I mean? Besides,
Besides last night.
besides your heartbreaking last night, there was like a lot of like upsets, comebacks, stuff like that. So it was a very exciting weekend. I thought these were going to be a bunch of poop games, but turns out they were amusing. But beyond that, oh yeah, because like now, Steelers are out. I think that we looked good at the end of the year. I'm happy with their progression. I don't think they would have done great in the playoffs, but with the upsets, maybe. Who knows? Should have won your fucking games. But I pretty much just like moved straight onto the draft. I've done at least like 300 Steelers mock drafts in the past because you can just like click through them really quick.
Sure. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I got like a good sense of who we might take in the draft based on the current standings. I have plans to go watch the draft again with my buddies this year.
Where
So
is the draft
that's
taking place? Is it
it's in
always in
Kansas
Vegas
City.
now? Oh,
No,
it's in Kansas City. Okay.
the draft is in Kansas City. We're not going to Kansas City to watch the draft in Kansas City. So, but
Well, you're
we're
gonna
gonna
like watch it together somewhere.
yeah, I want to go to like we're gonna go back to Vegas and
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, okay, got it.
watch it in Vegas at a sport, at the
Yeah.
sports book, like, and also be in Vegas and hang out, but then repeat our draft fun time. But we just won't be able to go to the draft because it's not. It should always be in Vegas. It feels like something that's like very Vegasy, right?
It feels like the kind of thing that like it's like, oh, this is always in Madison Square Garden. It's like, okay, that's fine. Or like it's always in
Yes.
Vegas. Like it feels like the kind of thing where like I don't know that people would want it. Like I'm sure it makes a team a little bit of money, but like also I don't know. Who knows? But yes, I
It's
agree.
city shits. Like they did one in Tennessee. Do you remember the video? I don't know if you remember this or saw this, but there was Nashville's really big for bachelorette parties, right?
Sure, yes, okay, of course.
So they held the draft like before COVID. One of these years before COVID, they held the draft in Nashville, and obviously a bunch of women go there every single weekend for their
Mm-hmm.
bachelorette party. So there was a news story about these women being mad that it's like super crowded and full of football fans, and them just bitching
Sure.
that like they didn't realize that they're in Nashville during the draft. And they're like, I can't believe I have to deal with football during my bachelorette party. And it's like, well, whose fault is
Well,
this?
it's like yeah, maybe don't have your bachelorette party in like the most popular place to have a bachelorette party, right? Like
Like, and even if you do, you didn't like notice that your hotel rooms were like 4 times more expensive than they
right.
normally
Well,
are.
that's like the tweet you sent me about your I don't know, it was like a Pittsburgh reporter or whatever, just like why is my flight to Vegas so expensive? It's like, oh, because it's CES and the
It,
AVNs and it's
yes,
also New Year's and what right? So like yeah.
yes, yeah. It just like everything, like, and when we were going to Vegas and happened to stumble on the draft last year, we kept trying to figure it out too because it was the same thing. Our prices were like so crazy for rooms like that one weekend because we weren't like planning to go to the draft, but that's how it happened. Okay, so that's my like fun time first part. I went to hang out with some friends. We played a new game this weekend. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. You probably have.
A new
It,
board game? Or a new video
kind
game?
board-ish game.
Okay.
It's called Incoherent. Have you ever heard of this?
I don't think so.
It just has like these cards that there's like rowdy and vulgar ones, whatever, whatever, but they're cards with words and you have to say the words out loud and then figure out what the phrase is that you're trying to say.
Oh, so like hike ant Eve hen is I can't even. Okay, so like there's basically like drunk slurs kind of on the one side and then the answer on the other side. Not slurs like bad things, but just like
Yes,
you're slurring your
slurred
words.
slurred speech. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you say it and it's really fun. It's hard because in your own head, you're seeing the correct words, you're hearing the words that you're reading, but everybody else usually can hear what you're trying to say very quickly.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're like
Mm-hmm.
saying it, you're like, "Oh, you're so fucking close, dude. It's like right there." And you're like, "Oh man, like well, I
Right.
don't understand it." But yes, that's what's happening. So highly recommend it. It's a really fun party game. It has like, some juice to it in the sense that like
Well, there's a whole. I'm looking at the box now on Amazon. There's a kinky subsection.
that's what I mean. So yeah, so there's like, butt plug whatever, whatever, whatever. But like, it's like
Sure.
they're yeah,
Yep.
it's fun. And I think that I just saw that they make like a safer version for families. But either way, this game was fun. Recommended. It makes a good party game.
Cool.
TV, like besides like because I was watching so much fucking, it's like this. We're getting to the end of the sports, like the
Well,
great time of sports.
you
I
know,
I do go ahead and say
baseball starting, baby.
it. Pitchers and catchers.
I will say
It's
that ESPN's fantasy baseball app went down today. They're in maintenance. This is our like 2 weeks where it's just like, okay, we can't do anything. Like you can't even check your teams anymore.
ah.
But yeah, no, it's about to start. It's about to pop off. So very excited.
And you guys play like legacy shits too, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, so you actively could choose to look at it right now. Like Like
Right, yeah,
most
we
people
can
like
we can
don't
make
open
trades
the
or
app.
whatever. Yes, exactly. It's just like, oh no, like there's a downside. Like we actually can't have access to the thing. So yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But that's cool. That means like it's coming back. They're doing their updates, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like you're
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
there, guys. Okay. We were playing a lot of Mario Party drunk at night against each other. That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
We're finishing up Wednesday, so like I haven't finished that yet. But in between
Oh, Wednesday TV series.
Wednesday the TV series,
Yeah.
yeah. But in between, I found a new cool sports documentary on Netflix that I really like.
Is this what you told me about, or is this not what you told me about?
No, this is something different. Just came out.
Okay.
So from the makers of Drive to Survive, which I highly recommend, everybody should watch it. Like even if you like F1's blowing up one. Remember Brian came on and pitched it here. I watched it afterwards. Rachel got into it because it's way more about like the drama and intricacies of the like way more so than the cars and the racing and the technical things
Mm-hmm.
about cars. It's more about like the drama of the drivers and the managers and things like that. So they did those guys like from the makers of that just released a new series called Breakpoint, and it's about tennis.
Okay.
And much like Drive to Survive, much like all of the Netflix sports docs, it's about like individual tennis players and like their them and their coaches and where they're from and how they grew up and like what them being crazy and neurotic and like their partners and all of these things. And I find tennis players super fascinating. This game is like as close to chess as you can get. All the like one-on-one individual sports I find very very fascinating because it's a lot about like and they like talk about it too. It's a lot about like mental toughness,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like all of these people are very very highly skilled, but like the difference between like 1 through 5 is that like who's not gonna break, right? Like this is like so it was really cool. There was a lot of Rafael Nadal in it, which I find very interesting. But also like a lot of like new young tennis players and like their ideas. Maria Sharapova's in it, just like talking back on her career and talking about the new tennis players. And it's just beautiful, like all the other Netflix sports documentaries. Like it's all kind of shot that same kind of feel and way. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
It's
Absolutely.
like like 4K cameras and like shots of their
Mm-hmm.
faces and stuff. So if you're interested in that, I say give it a check out because it was really interesting and it's something that you can kind of pay attention to, kind of not pay attention to. You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna be
Mm-hmm.
fully dedicated, and each episode kind of like follows a different new tennis player. So yeah, it's fun and interesting. Give it a
Cool.
shot if you want. Other than that, oh, and then one fun food thing. I don't think I talked about this. Once a week for like the past 6 to 8 weeks, I've been eating shabu shabu on the weekends because we bought a shabu shabu pot and we've been making it at home and it is so fucking good. We found this like Asian grocery store that sells the like thin sliced brisket, the shabu shabu soup seasonings. Do you know what this is?
I'm looking it up now. I know that you have. I think I've heard about it probably from you before.
Okay.
The term is onomatopoeic, derived from the sound swish swish emitted when
Yes.
the ingredients are stirred in the cooking pot.
Yeah, so you like, it's hot pot. You boil a
Sure.
soup
Okay. Yep.
base, you like put the meat in it with your tongs for a couple seconds and then you eat it.
Okay.
It's fucking fantastic. So I've been eating a ton of this. I love it. And being able to make it at my house is fucking dangerous. So
Cool.
yeah, but that was like my big food excitement. I haven't gotten sick of it yet, so I've pretty much been forcing Rachel to eat it like every single weekend for weeks. But
So what you just have, you buy like a bunch of vegetables, make a soup, and then you just like buy meat that you slice really thin and just cook it in there for a couple seconds or whatever, a couple minutes.
yeah, and there's like soup bases, so there's like, like you can do whatever you want pretty much, but it's
Gotcha.
usually like a mushroom soup or like a thin like clear broth soup or like a spicy soup or like a tomato based soup. And I have this pot that has like a delineator down the middle that you put on your like camping stove,
Okay.
and then you make two flavors. Just eat it like that. It's really really good. Highly
Cool.
recommended.
Very
Yeah,
very cool.
yeah. That's what I've been up to. How about you, brother?
Well, so since the last episode, when I was stuck in Texas, I flew back, was home for a couple of days, went to Vegas a week for work for CES, which was fine. It was kind of uneventful. It was less busy, less worky than normal, just because like it was a weird, like a lot of clients were like, we don't know if we need to go out there or not. So you're just sending like small groups of people who weren't doing what we do out there, or like people don't have money, and so they weren't going at all. So it was like this kind of interesting, sort of like more laid back week, but that was fine.
No, I saw like a lot of like, pictures and videos from CES and like it looked like there was like a ton. What was the coolest new thing you saw at
Oh, I
CES? Because
don't.
I saw like a car that changed
Yeah,
colors.
the DEE. Yeah, that was pretty cool. I didn't see that in person. The LG had this really cool like wall. Like they always have like video walls where there's like curved video wall that was just like was really cool to look at. The coolest, because the weird thing, I'm sure you probably saw headlines about this. This was one of the bigger things that like Withings, like the smart scale company, created this device that like you pee on and like it tracks your pee, like it tracks like health, like it's a
Did they
health
make
preventative thing.
watches too? I feel like my boss had a watch from them that was like a half a smart, half analog
They might have done
watch.
like
It like recorded your like heartbeat or something. Like like it would tell you your pace, but like also looked like a nice analog watch.
yeah,
Ah,
maybe. I don't know. They did
sounds
like a lot of
familiar.
like
Okay.
smart device gimmicky kind of stuff, and so
Okay.
that would track. I don't know.
Okay.
That was kind of interesting. Like it was there was a lot of cool stuff, but it wasn't stuff that like it was. I don't think it was as cool as it's been in past years in terms of like, oh my god, I can't believe that I saw that or whatever. But it's just a bunch of stuff that like will either be out this year or in 2 years or never come out, right? So it's this whole
Yeah.
combination of just like whatever. Then last week, the only other thing I've done that I can talk about stuff I've watched, including a thing that we have not talked about, you and me, is that Montez and her cousin Mike Gallier
Oh yes.
were
Yes, yes,
in
yes.
New York. She
Yes.
was coming up for work, and I think he just came up because he just took some time off, and they had never been to New York, so they did some touristy stuff. But we
What did
went
they do?
to
Oh, is she gonna tell us or you want to tell
she
us a little bit about
did.
it?
She did like the tree, and she got pizza, and went to like FAO Schwartz, and they went to like 30 Rock, I think, and
Oh,
like they
because FAO Schwartz is back open again even though it closed. Now it's back open again. That's right.
right. So like they just
Okay.
kind of just had like a couple days out on the town,
Cool.
and so we went to this place called Rudy's, which is
I'm
really cheap
jealous of.
beer,
Yep.
and they have free hot dogs, which is a surprise to me, but we had hot dogs and beer there.
For reference, the a shot and a beer at this place in Midtown Manhattan
Uh huh.
is $5.
Yeah, we got a pitcher of beer for $12, including
That
tax and
is
including free hot dogs.
bananas
Yeah.
in this part of the world. Like in this part of the country, that is so unfathomably cheap to me. A double liquor drink at like Madison Square Garden can be
Like $40.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like yeah, like a single shot liquor drink is like 17.50. Like
Uh-huh.
Manhattan can get fucking
Yeah.
incredibly expensive.
When I was trying to park, and like
Oh,
it
you
feels
drove,
like a
God.
magic
Okay.
trick. It feels like a magic trick, and I've done this twice in a row now, that if you get to New York at 6, a lot of things that weren't parking spaces become parking spaces. So
Okay,
you can
cool.
just kind of like sit in your car for a couple minutes, and then all of a sudden 6 o'clock, and you're like in a legal spot. You can just get out and walk. So I've done it the last 2 times, like coincidentally. But like the parking decks, I was just like, hey, like I don't want to hold them up. They got to the bar really early because she got out of her meeting early and blah blah blah. I'm like,
Cool.
I don't want to drive around for half an hour. Like, let me just see what it would cost to park. And the decks around that area, which is kind of a touristy, like it's by Grand Central. It's not,
Yeah, yeah.
it's not like a cool, like sort of hidden part or whatever. But to park for 3 hours would have cost me $50.
Yep.
And so
And
when you're
that's
talking
normal.
about, yeah,
That's just
which
totally like
it
normal price.
sucks, but it's like I'm glad I found a spot on the street because like I didn't want to pay $50 for parking. But yeah, to have a $12 pitcher of beer is even more remarkable.
Yeah. So okay, sorry to derail you, but
No,
I'm
it's
so
fine.
fascinated by this place and free hot dog. Like, what the fuck is their overhead? I can't imagine. Like, this building has to be in shambles. Like, it's probably condemned. I can't imagine a place like that being profitable unless it's like you are just have 1,000 people deep at the bar at all times. You
They were
know?
really crowded. We got there. This was a Wednesday, so it's not like a huge drinking night out, but
It's
they were
Manhattan.
they were they were
There's
packed.
people, yeah,
Yeah.
there's people everywhere drinking, not drinking. You're always going to have somebody in any kind of mood. So
And what I said to you and what I said to them was that, imagine how much money other bars make that charge actual prices as opposed to like, if this bar can survive on $12 pitchers of beer, then
yes,
like places that are selling a beer for $12, like a single beer, is
yes,
like, you know, killing it and whatever, right? So,
yes, mind-boggling.
then we went to a place around the corner, but like I had met Montez in person at a wedding. Like when I met her at a wedding, at my
Yeah.
friend's wedding, and that I'd never met Mike, so it was cool to hang out with them for the night. They were both cool. They're both going to come back. At least Mondes will come back every few months. I'm not sure if he will be back or not, but I might go down to DC for a Nationals game and hang out with him. So
Oh, that'd be
who
cool.
knows?
Yeah,
Yeah,
very, very cool.
one
Yeah.
of the stadiums that I have not been to yet, so
Oh,
that would be
nice.
fun. But yeah, so I've seen a bunch of things in the last few weeks, but I think the most important thing to talk about is The White Lotus, which I finally watched, which you were all excited about when you were watching, and you wanted me to watch, and then I finally watched, and now I watched, and so we can talk about it. So,
Okay.
do you have any spoilery? Because this is sort of spoilers for The White Lotus, so if you don't want to hear it, I'll put like a little timestamp maybe, or just skip ahead or whatever. But do you have any spoiler thoughts or overall thoughts that you've not shared already about season two?
I really, really liked season two. I liked it being set in Italy, so you got the quirkiness of Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought the cast was just super awesome. So, like, yeah, I like that Christopher from Sopranos is in it.
Mm-hmm.
I like Aubrey Plaza a ton. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she's my perfect kind of weird. The wife, like the blonde wife lady, love her too. Jennifer Coolidge, like down the line. I thought that I really liked it. I want to hear your thoughts on it. Did you like it? Did you not like it? I think consensus wise, go ahead. You
Yeah,
talk
no. So I
first.
think the publicly the consensus wise that season two is better than season one, but everybody
Yes.
loves season one. Like when season one was on, people were just like, "This is the greatest show," and I'm just like, "I don't like this." And really watching season two, like trying to think back, trying to compare the two, I can't name a single thing I liked about season one other than like the actresses on it were pretty. Like I can't name a single thing about the story or anything that I enjoyed. Like I liked it even less thinking about it in retrospect. But I really like season two a lot. I would say that I think people who are on the fence should watch it. And actually, today, as we record this, Uncle Francis put out an episode. I don't know if they're going to do the whole season or not, but they did at least the one episode where they go on the Sopranos tour. Michael Imperioli and his father and his son went on that tour in season two of like the Sopranos location, or not no, Godfather, not Sopranos, the Godfather
Yes, yes,
locations.
yes, yes.
So they did an episode about that. So if you want to hear them talk about the show for a little bit, go check that out on Uncle Francis. It was good because I think a lot. What was compelling to me about season two was that it left the hotel, which was good, and it
Yes.
also focused on characters who did not want to be there. Like the one you said that I really liked. I think her name was I don't remember her name, but Haley Lou Richardson, the character Jennifer Coolidge's assistant, who was just there because Jennifer Coolidge wanted her assistant with her, and then her husband's like, I don't why'd you bring your assistant? I don't want her here. Send her home. And then so like she was like stuck in this weird limbo. And like I just love her as an actress, but I think it was interesting to have her be basically in paradise, but she can't do anything and she doesn't want to be there. And like this
She's
whole like
trapped.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought that that was a really interesting thing too. It's like okay, I'm gonna get to go on vacation and like go out, and the husband's like go away. So she's like okay, like don't be here. And then like she's like okay, so she's not there. And then like all of a sudden she's like I need you here, and you're
Right.
like. You're like, well, what? Do you just want me to like just stay in a hotel room in Italy for like 2 weeks while you're like on
Exactly.
vacation?
Yes.
Yeah, the irony is always great. I think it's really funny.
Portia was her character name. I liked her a lot. I
Portia.
liked the sex workers. I think they had fun storylines. They were both beautiful. I liked the singer. I thought she was great. Like I thought that stuff was compelling. A lot of the dudes again are just kind of like whatever. Like I think season two in terms of like delivering the themes, like season one, the whole theme of season one is just like rich white people are bad, aren't they? It's like, yeah, I get it. Like I understand that this is bad. Like I agree. We don't need like 8 hours of this or whatever, right? Or 6 hours or whatever. I'm just like, this is too much. But season two, I thought the themes were a little bit more nuanced, a little bit more like layered in. But it's also like just like a lot of it seems like, hey, dudes are pretty bad, right? Just like yeah, because they're kind of boring, shitty characters. I thought Aubrey Plaza's husband, like the actor and the character, kind of just sucked overall. No offense to that guy.
Yeah.
But I think that my biggest sort of disappointment was that like I did not like the finale at all. Like after liking so much of the
What?
season, I thought the
Okay.
finale was a combination of the stuff that like felt inevitable, which I think is also like it could just be it's kind of good writing. Like at a certain point, like the things are going to pay off in a certain way, and like it builds the thing. I'm just like, but this is like it. We almost didn't need it because it's like you set everything up so well in certain ways that I don't need to see it play out because I know how it's going to play out. So I thought that was kind of like so it might be good writing, but I was kind of disappointed. And then stuff that just felt insane, like the whole like her getting the gun on the boat and just wildly shooting. I'm just like, this seems so over the top in a way that doesn't match anything at all.
That like final Jennifer Coolidge on the boat scene where she's pretending like she's not running to try to call for help
Yeah.
is so amazingly comedic gold that like if you just watch that part of it, because she like runs and you see her running through the glass windows and then she gets like to them and she's like, oh hey, and she's like out of breath and like walks slowly through the door and then runs again. It's so awesome.
I love her. I just think that she's like, I don't think she's wasted on this, but I feel like people are just like, oh my God, she's the best. It's just like, yeah, but I'd rather watch a Christopher Guest movie where she's actually like able to be funny in a way that like, I don't know.
I think she is funny here.
I know people do. I don't like, I like her as an actor and a performer. I just don't like what I don't know. I did not like that. And like the whole like, because season 1, so apparently Mike White has come out, the guy who created the show has come out and said like, season 1 was not supposed to be about the death. It was supposed to be about the people and the stories and whatever. But like people died and like that was like what people took. It became like a murder mystery kind of, right?
Yes.
And so this season starts with like, oh my God, there's a body in the water and there's more than one body. It's like, oh, who's gonna die? Again, spoilers. Jennifer Coolidge dies, and then all of the gay men who are like sort of trying to steal all their money, like she kills all them. So like almost nobody dies that we know, right? Like all the core cast survives.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jennifer Coolidge is
I mean, other than her, yes.
top
But like,
tier, yeah.
The two main couples that you're like, oh my God, like he's choking him in the water, like they're fighting, they're going at it or whatever. There's like tensions and whatever. It's just like, that's all like a ruse, which is like.
That's my favorite part of this is that like, you know someone's about to die. But at any point, like, especially when we're getting to the end of season 2, any one of those people is believable to kill, like, one of the other people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they're setting it up, like, there's some that are too obvious to where you're like, oh, it's not gonna be that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the tussle between the two bros and, like, them thinking that they're cheating with like their other the wife, right? You know what I mean? Like that situation, like this could possibly boil over into a murder. It could have been like the young kid protecting the sex worker girl, or the one girl killing somebody, like any of these things. And like that's what I like, that you start to like get to a bottleneck where you're like, okay, any of these people could kill anybody else, but like who's it gonna actually be?
I just think that like for a show that like, especially in my opinion, like took such a step up in terms of like the story it was telling, the characters it wrote and whatever, like to just spend so much time on being like, who's gonna die? Who's gonna die? Oh, a bunch of characters you don't know. Just like, I don't care, man. Like that doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
I liked the season overall. Like I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it.
Cool, good. That's awesome.
And I liked a lot of the characters in it. I just sort of didn't like, maybe like a quarter of it I didn't really like, and I didn't like the finale. But I liked most of it in a way that, like, again, like I said, thinking back to season 1, I liked so little of it. Like I didn't like it while it was on. Like I didn't hate it, but I was just like, this is whatever. And then like thinking back, I'm like, what did I like about that? And I can't remember a single thing. So I don't know. But
so okay, then last thing about this though is we thought that Jennifer Coolidge was like the through line. I saw some other people say, what if it's her husband that's like the through line, and like season 3 starts out with him going to a White Lotus to like spread her ashes?
Yeah, sure, whatever, that's fine, that works.
Yeah, I'm like,
even though he was trying to like steal her money, which I guess he kind of did, right? So because she died, so
yeah,
could be because they have announced that season 3 is coming at some point. So wherever Mike White wants to go on vacation next, and I guess bring the husband, and yeah, cool, I guess, right? John Grise has Greg, her husband Greg, her widower Greg. So
yeah. I like it. I will keep watching. I'm glad that you enjoyed this season more, because I thought that season 2 was actually like very, very, very good. So
yeah. Other things that I've watched recently that I really like, the movie After Sun, I feel is getting a lot of, I don't know if it's probably going to get some Oscar buzz, but it's a really, really wonderfully well-made, also depressing movie. I don't know if it's going to be nominated for Best Picture or anything, but this is one that I know Mark Hoffmeyer was like championing. Like, it's not like really under the radar one, but it's one of the better movies of the year for sure last year. Triangle of Sadness is really
That's
funny. Did you see?
no, Triangle of Sadness sounds like something that I would call a movie that was about something else.
Yeah, it's
Doesn't it?
about
Isn't it
it's
like a
about the
Joe
forehead.
title?
Yeah, it's about the forehead, like in models, where like the like above the nose, between the eyes, like that. Like she's like, you need to soften your triangle of sadness. Like that's said in the first like 5 minutes of the movie, and then never brought up again. But it does seem like yeah, triangle of sadness would be a way you would describe a thing. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Like it's like, oh, there is this movie that like they're playing a triangle in it, and the movie's depressing. And I'm just like, oh, Triangle of Sadness. Yeah, I saw that movie.
He was really really good. It was by the guy who did The Square, which was this movie that came out. Like he's this European guy. This is mostly in English, but it's Ruben Ostlund. He did The Square. He did Force Majeure, two really really good movies. So he's 3 for 3 in my opinion. I
He
think. Oh,
likes
he's
geometry, man. The
Swedish.
square, the Triangle of Sadness.
I've thought that I'm right there on the same page as you. I saw Black Adam, which I did not like. I saw
Really?
Blonde, which I did not like. Yeah, Black Adam is just like it's not bad. Like
Was
it's
it you who said that like Black Ad like he doesn't show up till like 45 minutes in the movie, or was it like our
no, I
Kate
didn't
Hudson?
say that. That might be. I mean, like, because it's an origin story for him, and he's like, this thousands of years old character who gets like, entombed or whatever, and he has to get like uncovered or whatever. And he's like a god,
Oh,
like he's Superman. So like,
I
it's
didn't
the
know
same
that.
kind. It's
Okay.
just, it's very sort of been there, seen that sort of DC kind of superhero thing. So again, not the worst. Like people are saying like this is the worst movie I've ever seen because people like to be
We talk
hyperbolic on
about
the
this all the
internet.
time.
But
Yeah.
it's just like no, like it's good. It's like there's nothing about it that's like compelling or interesting, and like I'm bummed that he left. I mean, I know that he left because he hates Vin Diesel, but like I'm bummed that to a certain extent he left the Fastiverse to go do like movies like this, where just I just come on, man, like get back in there.
Also, I don't think that we talked about it because I think like last time that we did a Life in the Fast Lane, I said like, "Oh, you reminded me I want to go see Avatar," but I did go see Avatar.
I know you talked about that, and I know that you did not love it. You liked it, but you did not love it.
No, no, no. I really liked it. The thing
Oh,
was, I really really liked it. The thing was, and a mini spoiler for Avatar, but I'm gonna kind of dance around it. Up to about 75% through the movie, I was like, I'm not a big Avatar original fan, and this movie is fucking awesome.
hmm
And I was like, oh my god, like, this is exactly what I wanted. It's beautiful. I get that the storyline's dumb. It doesn't matter. It's just a vehicle to show you more cool shit in this universe. I'm fine with that. And then there's a point at about 75 to 80% through the movie where James Cameron turns in his homework twice, and you're like, why the fuck did you do Titanic in this movie?
I know, but like he did it because he does it well, and he also does
That's
action
fine.
here. And like the last quarter of this movie is better than like most movies of the last decade.
But it's so Titanic. It just like took me
But
so
people aren't
out
fighting
of
like
it.
there are fight scenes here at the end. Like
I get it.
I don't like I don't see that criticism like at all. Like I think this is one of the he's like our best action director. I think the action here at the end is so unbelievably good, and I think that like I was like, yeah, okay, so there's like another like sort of like sinking ship. Okay, got it. Okay, cool. But like he's doing a different thing. Like it's just like outside of a sinking ship, it's like it's a
But it's
different
the same
thing.
shots, the water, the underneath thing, the breach, the
Well,
get
that's what happens.
out, the
That's what a sinking ship is, man. Like
the
it's all those
holding your
things.
breath. I know, but I was like, dude, come on. Like we could have done anything else. Like and also because it is fucking James Cameron and he like had this Titanic boner for so long and like did the movie, did the like go under dig up Titanic, like all this shit and I was just like, come on, man, like boats again? Like
At the end of the, I mean, the movie's called The Way of Water, right? Like
I get that, yes, yes, yes. But you got the giant goofy whales, and I was like, those are sick as fuck. Like, I
yeah.
can watch a ton of that. Like, that's awesome. Like,
At the end
you.
of the day, though, he is going to have, when this is all said and done, 3 of the 4 highest-grossing films of all time, and then when Avatar 3 comes out next year, he'll have 4 of the 5. Like, he does things in a way that like people just love, and I don't mind him, repeating underwater themes. Like, if that's what he's into, no one makes movies that look like this other than him. So, like, if he wants to make another boat thing, that's fine with me because I feel like what he's doing is interesting and like visually interesting and narratively interesting in a way that the first movie, I rewatched it the night before I saw the second one, and
Yeah.
like I still think it looks beautiful, but it's also like it's the jokes are not wrong. Like it is like a Pocahontas kind of thing. It's kind of
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
Ferngully kind of thing. Like it's not he's not telling an original story there.
No.
Here there's much more of a story. Like it's not like a wholly original story. Like it's kind of like a generic sort of thing, but like it's working in a way that's interesting.
I don't
And I
even
don't mind
care
any
about the
recycle set
story.
pieces. Yeah,
Like to me, like it's. I think that the plot was really dumb, but it doesn't bother. Like that's fine. I don't care about that because like you gave me 50 fucking new animals and plants, and
yeah.
like it's gorgeous, and like if we had to like have the same child get kidnapped 4 times in a row, like that's fine. I don't give a fuck. Like that's
Yeah.
okay because you're just getting me through the story. The only problem I had with was the ship, but okay. Also, I made a joke that once we conquered the forest people, we conquered the water people. Now we just have to go fight the fire people. And James Cameron comes out like a week later and is
Oh well,
like,
no. I mean, you might not have known, but like they had announced before you made that joke that like
"Oh,
fire was
really?
the next thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh no, I had no idea. I just was like, okay, like this is how we're going. If we're just gonna play a video game, and like you did the first 2 levels, like what's the next one?
Well,
Fire
I mean, I
level.
think the funny thing is that there's the other Avatar, which is all about the elements, and he's just working through those, right? So like,
Oh, Avatar, like the Last Airbender. That I've
hmm
never seen it. Yeah.
neither have I, but like I know that that's a thing. Like Airbender, or there's Earthbenders and Firebenders and Waterbenders and whatever, right? And so like to have a thing named the same thing about the elements and progressing your way through the elements is just like a weird kind of coincidence too. But man, I can't wait to see what he does in Fire. That's gonna be exciting.
I think so, yeah, I think so too. I'm excited, and I also think that they're just like plotting down the line that they're gonna have like a super Navi baby, and it's gonna be a combination of fire child, water child, forest child, whatever other rock child, right? Isn't
Maybe,
rock
sure.
usually like the
It's Earth, Water, Air, and Fire. The four.
so like the rock people will be the next
Sure.
step then
Yeah.
after that, and then they'll just have like a super Navi that glows or something, and it'll have all the powers of all the
I
ones that.
think the thing to keep in mind with this movie, and it's not about that, but just like the thing that like if you're an Avatar hater out there, and I know people are like when we had not to put them on blast, but I know that when Nico and Kev were on here, they were not exactly singing James Cameron's praises, and I was like high
No.
off that movie or whatever.
Yeah.
But like if you think about this movie, like you think about the kid Spider, I was just because when you were talking about like a Navi baby or whatever, like you think about Spider, right, the human kid in this movie. Like seeing him go into and come out of water like an actual human next to a fully CGI rendered thing, and they look the same. Like they look so realistic and so similar that like
Yeah.
your brain can't tell that the difference. It's like, how is this possible? Like how can computers be this good that like something that's fully real, like the kid Spider, and something that's fully fake, like anybody else in the movie, like they look the same. Like it's crazy to me how good all of it looks, and like the fact that like there's an actual story here,
Yeah,
and
we're hitting the limit. You're
action.
right. We're not at Jurassic Park anymore, right? You don't see it, and you're like, ah, something looks a little off about this dinosaur. Like it looks good, but like when it comes out, but at this point, you're just like, that's just a fucking weird blue thing.
Like
Like
there's a
it
reason he
looks
waited like a
good.
decade for the computers, right? Like it's just like he
Yeah.
like they like the wait was worth it, right? So
Yeah. Okay. Sorry,
I
that was
think
my
right
last.
now, no, hold on, see here. All time box office as we record this, it's still number seven, 1.9 billion. We were talking about like, oh, it needs to make 2 billion to break even. Well, it's about to break even, right? So like, and it's still going to keep going. So
Yeah, I think so too. It'll keep running for a
amazing.
while.
I'm going to work my way back. So I'm saving my favorite thing for last. But like working my way back. I watched this movie Skinamarink. Have you seen like the internet losing its mind over this movie Skinamarink?
No, no.
So our friend fan favorite Garrett Smith had a tweet about how boring he found Avatar and how compelling and interesting and innovative he found Skinamarink. And boy, I could not disagree more. Skinamarink is this movie that was shot for $15,000, so basically no money, just like in this
Yes.
in this guy's parents' house, like the house he grew up in. And it's in theaters, which is amazing. Like it's an
Yeah,
hour
that's
40,
crazy.
which is too long. It's way too long. But it's basically just kind of like exploring kids' nightmares. Like just like the story, as much as there's a story, is that a kid wakes up in the middle of the night and his parents aren't home, and all the doors and windows in his house disappeared. And it's just like an hour 40 of like this kid trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. But the entire movie is basically shot of like corners of ceilings and stuff. Like I think you would make it maybe 3 minutes into this movie before you turned it off.
Okay.
Like even to me, who is like all for avant-garde, weird experimental things, and like I appreciate this exists, I was bored out of my goddamn mind. And like I like that it exists. I love that it's in theaters. If you like this kind of thing, I am all for it. I could not find anything in this to enjoy. And people are just like, this is like the best thing. I'm just like, it's not. It's fine. It's not.
This is really funny. You're never on this side of this fence. It's interesting to hear.
It was so boring to me. And like there's a real wide split in terms of like all Letterboxd and also the people that I follow. Like a lot of people like kind of in the middle. People I know follow all the way from like a half star all the way up to 5 stars. Like it's
Very
very
divisive.
like there's no story, there's no real actors. It sounds cool. I think the trailer, from what I've gathered, I've watched the trailer, I just saw the movie, is really interesting and like scary and whatever. But I'm just like, you kind of don't need to see it. But like, I do genuinely love that it exists. Like, I love that it's out there. It's just not for me. But,
It happens. It's
whatever.
okay. Welcome. I got a seat on my couch here, right, waiting for you.
Yeah,
You didn't understand or well, you understood, but didn't enjoy an artsy movie that everybody
yeah.
else seems to love.
hmm
Feels right at home, bud.
On the other end of that spectrum, not artsy movie, Megan M. loved it. Absolutely wonderful. Great horror movie. Great antagonist. Megan is wonderful.
I've heard good things about it.
It's really good. Like,
Beyond from you.
they're marketing it kind of as like the meme movie where she's just like dancing around doing that whole dance and whatever. But like, it's really, it's actually a good movie. Like it's by the woman. The woman who wrote this also wrote *Malignant*.
Okay.
And so she has made 2 hits for Blumhouse, and Jason Blum is like, whatever you want to do now. Like
Malignant
yes,
is right?
yes.
Okay.
That's a spoiler for *Malignant*, but yes,
Okay.
I'll cut that out. Yeah, if you've not seen *Malignant* yet, or Megan, go see those because they're both
You should
great.
just beep it because everybody's gonna know what I mean.
Yeah, that's fine. Yes, I will use beep technology. But yeah,
I
so
didn't
she's
say
written these
anything
2
weird.
movies.
I just described the
You
movie.
you spoil the movie in a single sentence, right? Which is like
Yeah, exactly.
there's a huge reveal, and like the whole like not the point of *Malignant*, but the point of *Malignant* is that there's a thing that happens, and Joe's like, oh, it's that thing, right? It's like yeah,
And it always reminds me of Tom Green. That's who it reminds me.
I might believe that too. Who knows?
Yeah, I think you could leave that one in because that's like just a wild association. Like,
But yeah, M. Thregan is great. I really highly
Cool.
recommend this. I think it's going to be in theaters for a while. Like it's keeping up to a certain extent with Avatar. Like it has not passed Avatar. I don't think
Wow.
it's gonna pass Avatar, but like Avatar made like 45 million. This made 30. Like it's
Oh,
pretty
okay.
good. And
Yeah,
it's a
that's
PG-13
pretty
horror.
solid.
It's good. So I'm excited about that. But building up to my favorite thing that I've seen, honestly, maybe in the last 5 years. And I
What?
know, not a recommendation for you.
okay.
Damien Chazelle's Babylon, man. Hoo boy. It's 3 hours and like 8 minutes long.
Right up my alley.
Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie. It's,
Roby or Robbie?
I think it's Robbie. It's Margot Robbie, but I think she pronounces it Robbie, I think.
Okay, I was asking for clarity because you
Yes, it's
usually
her,
are dead
yes.
on. That's what and if anybody would know that like this is the pronunciation of this person's name now, we've confirmed it with whatever. That's why I was checking with you.
Yes, I think it's Robbie. I think I've heard that in the last, like, that's something that's come around in like the last year or so.
Okay.
But yes, Margot Robbie. I loved every single second of this movie. It's insane. It's really over the top. It's both like a love letter to Hollywood, as all of his movies are, and also like a condemnation of Hollywood. It takes really big swings. I don't know that there's a single person I would recommend this to. I had
Okay.
heard before I saw this, it had like a 50 on Rotten Tomatoes. It was like mixed on Metacritic. And I'm like, I think people hate this movie. I think I'm going to love this movie. And I loved it. And then I went on Letterboxd, and like everybody that I follow basically also loves it.
Okay, cool.
Since then, other people have come out and, not loved it. But like overwhelmingly, like the Letterboxd nerds, like people who are just like into like film and spectacle and Damien Chazelle and La La Land and all that, like love this movie. But man, I love Babylon so much. Like I was thinking about it, like I think it's genuinely my favorite movie of the last like 5 years. Like
Wow.
I don't know if it's good. I think it's pretty good, but it's just like it's insane in a way that like I just love, and like
Just hits for you, man. Sometimes
just-
that happens.
I loved it. So yeah, I was watching, so I saw Black Adam, then I saw Babylon. I'm like, okay, so like one of my least favorite movies this year, and then one of my favorite movies in the last 5 years or ever, who knows, you know what I mean? Like it's just
yeah.
unbelievable. So yeah, Babylon, if you want to check it out, I'm sure it'll be on VOD in some form. I don't think it's going to get any Oscar nominations because I don't think it's that kind of movie. I think it's like probably objectively not good, but boy, loved it. So shout out Damien Chazelle. 4 for 4 in my book. Whiplash and La La Land. And
Whiplash is fucking fire.
And First Gauze. Did you like First Man, First Gauze?
I don't remember.
The astronaut movie?
I don't remember a fucking thing about it.
When Gosling plays Neil Armstrong? He walks on the moon. Remember Whitey's on the moon?
I do not remember a goddamn
Really?
thing about this movie.
Okay.
Yes, you saying that, I questioned if I had seen that movie before.
Well, we did it for the Gosling podcast. We did a whole. You've seen it. We talked about it for an hour.
I believe so, but I'm saying like when you said it, like I was like, that sounds familiar, but like I don't know what that movie's about. Like even to that, like I couldn't even have told you like if you like asked me what the thing like I could have maybe guessed it was about astronauts, but I wouldn't have been sure.
I realized we skipped mailbag. I don't think I have any more extracurricular activities, but we have mailbag. Is there anything else you want to say in extracurriculars before we get to mailbag?
No. I'm in a pretty good. The weather hasn't gotten complete shit yet, so like I'm just like I'm also in like a very soup mood. That continues on the shabu shabu thing, but like the weather is starting to get cold, so like I've just been asking Rachel very nicely to make as much soup as possible. So I've been eating a ton of different soups, and that just feels like the wave right now.
You're eating warm foods.
Yeah, it feels like soup time, right? Like that's just
yeah. So we have an email address, family@cageclub.me. We have a pretty solid email bag here for the first time in a while, so thank you all for writing in.
Thank you.
If you want to email in, we'll read it on the next one of these in 3 weeks. Number 7. I'll see if I remember that. Number 7 in 3 weeks.
Ooh.
The Mickey Mantle of it. But family@cageclub.me. Okay.
Okay.
First 2 emails from Wes. Subject line, year-end wrap-up. What up, fam?
What up, fam? What up, Wes?
Says, it's been a while since I wrote in, so I figured I'd send a little year-end wrap-up for your next life in the fast lane. I wrote some of these a while ago, so let's see if any of us remember what I was talking about. Well, Wes, I will say right off the bat, just send in a note. If you have one note, send that in when the episode happens, because if you're not going to remember, we're definitely not going to remember.
I specifically have no chance of remembering, but okay.
Montez's interpretation of the Dom, Letty, Elena situation in 6 is how I've always seen it, and that episode's the first time I've heard someone interpret it the same way I did. Dom and Elena primarily bonded over their losses, and now, against all odds, Dom's wife is back. Elena can't be mad because she knows if it had been her husband who came back from the dead, she'd want to be with him.
Yep.
She's the only person in the group who can put herself in Dom's shoes. I never thought Dom was asking her to stay in the sense of trying to create some sort of Hammer Polly situation. I think at that moment he didn't know what to say because he got his wife back, but he's also committed to Elena since he thought Letty was gone. It's a no-win situation because Elena is alone again, and he feels guilty about that. He's not offering her a place in their relationship, but an invitation to stay in the family so she's not totally alone.
Makes sense.
It's not the same thing as having a partner, but they've built a bond. He wants to let her know he's there for her. It's pretty sad, and there's no clean answer, because in reality, Elena staying would be more painful than a clean break. I think they did a pretty good job of having her walk away. It's sad, but it makes sense for her to step back. It would have made her seem selfish and unlikable to get angry and ask Dom to stay with her, and it would have made her seem shallow and weaker for her to be fine staying with the group as a friend. I probably thought about this too much over the years, but I think it's unfair to act like it's convenient writing for her to leave, and Dom's offer to stay is just him asking for a threesome.
I agree. I think I've come around since we've had that talk with Montez, and yes, Wes, I'm now on board with you guys. I like this interpretation a lot, so.
Joey, stop looking at Screen Rant. It's the worst. I don't look at Screen Rant. I have a Google alert set up for Fast and Furious.
Yes. Yeah.
And they have gamed the system in a way that they're always the first story. Also, they're the only ones like posting about it ever, right? So like it makes sense that like I'm seeing their stuff because no one else is posting about these movies other than them because they have clicks to fill, right? So clicks to get. I had to block it on my article suggestions on Google, so maybe I could do that too. I think comicbook.com is also owned by them. They fooled me too many times to ever look at their sites again. Also, their pitch meeting YouTube series thumbnails are the worst, and it makes me angry to see them.
Would their pitch leading?
Pitch meeting, like you're in a meeting and you're pitching a movie or something. I haven't seen them. I don't seek them out. Yeah, but I will take your word for it.
Yes.
Joe, how dare you mock the turtle kids? I never had a turtle when I was a kid, but I would love to have one now. I tend to deep dive and do enough research to scare myself out of things like that, though. They're one of those pets that parents get for their kids without realizing how much work they are.
Yep.
And it makes me sad for all those sick and unhappy turtles. Also, he's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles nerd, whatever. I get that.
Yeah, I get it too. I get
I
it.
looked at some turtle rescues in Texas to see what's out there, and I'd need to set what I need to set up. But I've also looked at just building a habitat conducive to local turtles and seeing if I can attract wild turtles in the area to come chill. We have some in the neighborhood fountains, and I could potentially lure them away with a more radical turtle lair. But shame on you for calling turtle kids weird.
I didn't say there's anything bad about it. I said they're weird. And weird isn't necessarily bad.
Sure, weird can be good.
Weird can be good.
Yeah,
But
Wes,
they're
stop knocking
definitively
weird.
Yeah, keep Austin weird. Man, isn't that the fucking slogan, bro?
That's the slogan.
God damn.
I don't remember this conversation, but I have a note that says milk is great. So I guess one or both of you don't like it. I don't remember having this conversation at all. I feel pretty neutral on milk.
I keep at least 3, usually 4 kinds of milk in our house. We have cow's milk, we have almond, oat, which is my new favorite, especially for coffee.
I've exclusively drank oat for the last 2 years. I love oat.
Yeah, I mean but I mean, you need regular milk for like baking or cooking things sometimes.
Yeah, I use I will use oat in when I make macaroni and cheese or whatever. I don't do baking. I don't do hardcore baking. I would get actual milk for that. But yes, I would. Yes.
And then heavy cream, and I like almond for cereal and stuff like that, but it's not creamy enough for coffee. We go through a ton of oat milk for coffee, but I guess I never drank milk straight until I forced myself to when I was in college maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I never cartons of milk at school passed. Never drank them. Didn't fucking care.
Yeah, I always thought it was weird. I drank milk every night with dinner growing up because that was just what we drank as kids or whatever. But yeah, I never drank it at school. So I'm I don't want it out of cardboard. I want it out of a glass at home, right? So he says, I don't drink it a lot, but sometimes it's the best thing in the world. We also tend to have lots of cookies around, so that helps. Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
your wife's a baker, right? So
Exactly.
it makes sense that you love milk because
Yeah.
cookies and milk. It's a thing. Santa Claus.
Milk and cookies. We
So
used to
that's all
use milk and
go ahead,
cookies.
go ahead.
We used to use the term milk and cookies to mean quadruple space.
Oh,
It's just very innocuous, but you know what you're talking about.
yeah. He says, actually, speaking of the cookies, he says, I'm a little behind because we had a pop-up cookie sale on what happened to be the coldest day Austin's had in 30 years. So preparing for that really threw things off, but it was fun. We did pretty well.
Good. I saw some cookies.
Yeah. Now that the holidays are over, hopefully I'll be able to catch up. If I don't, you'll never hear from me again. Until next time, if there is a next
Good.
time, stay fierce. But then he emails again
Beat
4
it.
days later. I'm listening to the Life in the Fastlane episode. It reminded me of something I left out of my last email.
Okay.
Don't bite the bait? About
Yes.
Rita Ora.
Yes.
I've always interpreted it as her giving general advice, like don't let other racers trick you into doing something stupid. It sounds like an idiom. But recently, Mrs. West was working on cookies, and she needs a lot of garbage content she doesn't have to pay attention to keep her entertained. So she started Love Island. Oh, this is West said he was writing about Love Island.
Yes. Okay.
She was watching season 7, I believe it was the Casa Amore episode. They were talking about it, and I overheard one of the girls tell her guy, don't bite, meaning don't do anything stupid or let your head get turned over there. I think she might have been using a shortened version of the same phrase.
Yeah. I'm assuming that they're watching the UK version, and Rita Ora is English. So if it's season 7, I don't think we've had 7 US seasons yet. So
He says he might have gotten that season wrong. He says he's not sure, but the Casa Amore episode, I don't know.
Casa Amor. Yeah, now I'm curious if he was watching the English version but I remember they've had a few English people on the past couple American seasons. I didn't catch it on that. I wish I would have. Then I would have had the context.
The next email is from a new listener, Jim Weichert, Los Bandoleros Image. He says, hi, guys.
Welcome aboard, Jim. How are you doing, brother?
So I forgot this happened, but I'll explain in a second. So he said, I
Okay.
just found your podcast. I'm on the 3rd episode in a row. I'll find the Patreon before I go. What I'm
Okay.
hoping is you still have the original image before the podcast logo, not that I don't love you guys already. I want the image to use to make a custom Hot Wheels backer card for the custom Catalina I built in honor of the movie. Anyway, thank you. Please let me know, Jim. So I emailed Jim back that day or the next day. I was like, hey, here's the image. Let me know if this is the right one. Never heard back from him again. So I don't know if it was. I don't know if it wasn't. I don't know if my email didn't get to him. But Jim, if you make it to this episode 276 or whatever, and you're like, where's that image? I sent it to you. Email again.
Check your
family
spam.
at khstuff.me.
Check your
and just
spam
let me know.
folder. Tell us if you got it.
Because I was mostly curious. I want to help. I want to be helpful, of course. But I also want to be like, is this the thing you need? I'm just like,
or wanted, yeah.
Right. So no.
That's cool
worry
though.
There.
Gentle ask. I think that was easy enough. Cool.
Yeah, but glad that he listens. That he wrote in, and that hopefully this gets him something that he needs.
Cool.
Next email from Jason Rainey. Subject line: Ciao Familia. Hey Joey and Joe.
What's up, brother? How have you been?
Jason also was mentioned on the new Uncle Francis because he listens to that show too. He tweets at them or whatever.
Yes.
And Mike mentioned, our friend Jason Rainey. I'm like, dude, don't forget where he came from. You have him because of us. You owe us.
You never
everything.
had him. You never had your podcast.
You thought you had Jason? You never had Jason. Yeah, exactly. Our friend Jason Rainey. Go fuck off, Mike. Come on. He's part of the family.
Resident historian doesn't know the fucking history of where Jason Rainey came from, huh?
At the beginning of every episode, I said this to Brian, I'll just tell you too, because people can know here. At the beginning of every episode of Uncle Francis, Mike introduces it in a way like he does a different impression every time, because Mike loves impressions.
He loves impressions,
And he did an impression on this one. He's like, Brian, do you keep these in? And Brian's like, yeah, if they're good. And literally 100% of the episodes has started with an impression. Every single one he's left in. And I'm like, Mike, how do you not even know? It's the most Mike thing to have. It is. Even you know nothing about what goes on, but I feel like you just in general with podcast stuff. But I feel like this is even somehow less than that. It's just dude.
It is the beginning. It's the opening.
Yeah. There's almost no other way that the episode could start. If Brian didn't leave that in, I genuinely don't know how the episodes would start.
It would just come in hot, middle conversation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Anyway, this is from their friend Jason Rainey. I just listened to the new episode of the pod, and it was a fun surprise to hear you get to my dude, what's my car? Congrats, Joe, on correctly guessing it. Also, props on killing the letterbox game lately. I play along when I listen, and I hardly ever get close to the actual numbers. Yeah, because Joe is either cheating or Rain Man.
I'm not cheating.
Are you Rain Man?
Probably when it comes to letterbox guessing. I lay it out. I told you. You hear my brain vomit of how I get to a number most of the time.
It's still wild. It's still wild to me.
Yeah, man. I mean, just I'm a degenerate gambler. You're just playing the lines here. It's over-unders. That's all you're thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, look, this situation, this guy, probably a little bit higher than that. I like the matchup. It'll work. And then you place the bet. There you go.
Speaking of the car, Mike's friend Jason says, I was also curious why it had mirrors near the front of the hood. I did some digging, and apparently those, quote, fender mirrors were the default in Japan in the early days of cars. The country initially had narrow roads, and mirrors on the hood meant the car body could be less wide than if they were on the door. For a long time, it was required by law that cars have fender mirrors. This was eventually relaxed as they increased their export market and made cars with door mirrors for other countries.
Makes sense. That's wonderful. Yeah, that's a really cool fact.
He says, since you asked about the yellow handkerchief, by the way, the Kristen Stewart movie you mentioned is a really bad remake. It wouldn't be completely out of place on the podcast. It has a similar vibe to Two-Lane Blacktop or Paris, Texas.
Oh.
One movie you love, one movie you did not really love. But it's a more traditional plot than art film, if that makes sense. Obviously, I'm biased because I'm a fan, but I don't think it would be out of place for you guys to do another, quote, classic car or Japanese film lap.
Makes sense. Cool.
Enjoying this lap so far with all the Montez chaos energy. I'm looking forward to hopefully diving into more chaotic areas of Vin's career. And you folks reminded me I need to watch Sense8, my one Wachowski blind spot. Well, Jason, he also says, take care and check Tocito because Jason. Well, Jason, go do that thing.
Jason.
I'm also wondering what you think of both Speed Racer and Cloud Atlas and Jupiter Ascending, because those are three movies that I love that most people don't love.
Speed Racer's fucking good, dude. Speed Racer's so good.
Our next email is from Cool Cube Arctic. This is This is Babacar. He wrote in a while ago. He says, and he starts off, Fast X trailer update. Hey guys, long time no talk again. I know, so inopportune. No, not inopportune. Just write in whenever. Unless you're Wes, then write in when you have a note.
Yeah.
Wes, stop letting them accumulate. Send the shit in. None of us remember the milk conversation. Do it at the time.
I have no idea what milk we were talking about, but okay.
All you do. 2, family occasionally loves at me. Subject line, milk. Buddy, milk is great. Cool, got it.
Bingo bango.
Done. Great email too, by the way. Wonderful email to get. But I thought I'd catch you guys some breaking news or not so breaking by the time you read this on the episode. Long story short, by the time I'm writing this, an exclusive report came out from Collider revealing the details of the Fast X launch.
Okay.
Surprise, surprise, will be the way the F9 did its trailer launch, and maybe others too. We're getting the trailer on Friday, Feb 10. It's going to be more than 3 minutes long. On a TV spot will air during the Super Bowl too. So it seems to line up with Vin and company teased on Instagram a few weeks back.
Okay.
It says, honestly, I'm very, very excited for this trailer launch because we don't have any idea where we're going. Like, yeah, we're going to time travel, obviously. I don't know if it's obviously. I mean, they've hinted at that, but who knows?
And we saw the car that looks like the Back to the Future kind of car. So, I mean, yes, it's not... It's highly likely.
Mm-hmm. He says, but how is this going to roll, you know? Plus, I have a feeling this is going to be more serious or somber trailer than the previous movies had. I don't think so. I don't think
so.
I think the final one, yes. I think this one, not yet. Because I think.
But
this
even the
sad.
final one, I can see it like starting out a little somber and then being like cars and booties and like just sending us into, because that's what the movies are about, right?
Yep. Unlike 9, where it felt kind of funny and serious at the same time, man, next month can't come soon enough.
Well, we're excited. We're going to cover it, and we'll talk all about it. And I hope that you write in when it comes out and tell us what you think about it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that, too.
Yeah, here's the thing. Here's advance notice to everybody. If, when the trailer comes out, you watch the trailer at that time, you have basically half an hour from the time the trailer launches to email us to be on that bonus episode. Otherwise, we'll do it on the next Life in the Fast Lane, which is also fine. But if you want to be on the trailer update, because like, I genuinely think like the coolest episode we ever did, which there was more time, but when we did the F9 spoiler-filled review, and we basically had like all of our regular like the writer
everybody
guys,
being hype, yep,
all emailed in like their thoughts. We did like an hour's worth of email. That was cool. So
and
if
like
you want to be on the trailer
theories,
episode, yes,
theories, and we could talk about it. Maybe you see something we didn't see. Maybe you see something we did see, and we can get hyped together. All of these things, agreed. Yep.
So if you have like half an hour or so, I mean, depending on when it is, but if it's a Friday, like it'll probably be in the afternoon, like it's gonna be an event on who knows, but like we'll probably watch it, we'll record it, and like basically if you're done writing the email in by the time we finish the episode, we can read it at the end. But just here's an advance warning: if you want to get your thoughts in about the trailer,
as soon as you watch it, shoot that email, shoot your shot.
Also, of course, if the Bills make the Super Bowl, I became part of Bills Mafia since we last talked. It'd be cool to watch them win it on the same weekend. We get the trailer. Be a pretty dope weekend indeed. Anywho, just want to hear your thoughts on the trailer date now that we know when to expect it. Again, good listening to y'all. Keep up the good work. Talk soon. Our last email from today, subject line, new Patreon, Justin Kleinman.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
After being exiled by Patreon, he writes, for God knows what reason, it would appear I'm back for now. What a bunch of nonsense. Can't wait to dig into all the sexy behind the paywall content I've missed over the last 6 weeks. I will say, so Justin, for some reason, had a real issue with Patreon where it wouldn't accept his card.
It hated him. Specifically him.
Yeah, his credit card did not change, did not cancel, did not decline, did not expire. He just wound up canceling his entire account and then, doing a new one, and it seemed to work. So, like, if you ever have any
same
weird...
card?
Because he reached out, I reached out, nothing could help. So if you ever have any weird Patreon, like you want to be a patron, but you can't, and it's giving you shit, it seems like canceling, waiting a couple days, and restoring worked, but who knows?
I'm glad you're back, Justin, and we appreciate you. Thank you for being a patron. I appreciate it.
He says, Joe, too, I think I have a show recommendation for you. I know you occasionally look for suggestions of shows that are sweet and peaceful. We're planning a trip to the UK.
Okay.
And yes, I plan on saying, you're in London, baby, at Hank and Bonnie incessantly. In our research, we discovered they all have these canals that take people on trips in these long boats. We become a bit obsessed with the idea and discover the show Great Canal Journeys. Sounds like a porno. Starring 80-year-old married couple, British actors Timothy West and Prunella Scales. That's a great name, Prunella Scales. They just take weekend trips together in these canals in the British countryside and talk about how pretty it is for half an hour. It's just meditating. It's on Amazon. Check it out, Justin.
Okay.
So Great Canal Journeys.
Imagine what you think these people look like, because that's what they look like.
Yeah. I'm picturing the parents from Up. The grandparents from Up. Great Canal Journeys. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
They're just like two old, sweet-looking English people.
Yeah.
I bet that they're really, really. Oh God, there's series 5. Okay, cool. There's a ton of them.
They
This
got a lot of content.
got a lot of content. I dig it.
First, you got
Cool.
to do Icons on Earth, and then you got to do this.
Yes, yes, yes. Icons on Earth. I got up in a tab too. So
Cool. All right, that's all the email for today. Family@cageclub.me if you want to write in, please, and thank you. We'll read it on episode 7 of Life in the Fast Lane in 3 weeks. Joe, is The Rock in Fast X?
no.
Okay. Well, let's watch the trailer for Tokyo Drift, the most recent episode we did with Montez. The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift trailer HD. I almost guarantee that we've watched this at least
We
once.
have watched this. Yeah.
In the last couple of years, we did
this
family watch-alongs. 2 minutes and 6 seconds, posted by the Fast Saga 8 years ago. Let me know when you are ready.
I'm ready whenever you are, bud.
3, 2, 1, play. And no pressure, but I expect this to be the best trailer of any of the movies.
Yeah, we've seen it.
I mean, starting out with that,
Okay.
right?
Oh yeah.
You think we'll get Chrissy Teigen in here or no?
Sito. Exceedingly handsome man. Rachel noticed him in the credits the other day.
It's called drifting.
What do you mean, drift?
The cars are lighter. The tires are slick. When you drift, if you
Oh.
ain't out of control,
We never had this monologue before.
still need a dictionary?
On the other side of the world, on the wrong side of the law, a new style of racing rules the Tokyo underground.
How you guys get away with this?
There she is. I said, are we going to get Chrissy Teigen? We get boobs in the trailer. Unbelievable.
Let's race.
Nice.
But when you live on the edge,
I like the movie voiceover too.
anything can happen.
I think this is Don LaFontaine, maybe, or maybe that was a different guy, but he was definitely one of the movie voices.
This fast.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Hey, you're moving up in the world. You gotta elevate your company.
The bigger the risk.
Well, it's interesting they have not dropped Fast and Furious yet. You know,
Yeah,
the
and those
font-
like goofy bikes were never in the movie either. They're like dudes on scooters. I never saw those in the movie. The music fits in is different though too. This feels like this was probably like the original.
no translation.
translation.
Okay.
It's gonna be in English. What?
Uwabaki?
Make choices. Don't look back.
Yeah, this is a good trailer. It's not as good as I was
Tokyo Drift.
hoping for, but we got Chrissy Teigen, so that's all that matters.
And you get the this at the end, Han circling the girls. I think it was a pretty solid trailer. It was just it tonally felt a little weird.
Yeah.
With like a monologue we don't get from Bow Wow or got
Yep.
cut.
Yep.
We get the movie guy voice, and then the music not being the soundtrack, and the soundtrack being so
Right.
iconic. It feels a little off, but yes, it wasn't bad.
I would agree. So we'll watch I feel like the next ones we watch for 7, Fate, Hobbs, and 9, like 9 we've seen the trailer, obviously because we covered it on here, but like those I probably saw in theaters. I mean, like we're getting to the point where like I was going to the movies a lot. Like
Yes, yeah.
6 was like on the cusp of that. I feel like I've maybe seen these trailers. I don't know though. So curious to see what they hold in future lives in the fast lane. But Joe, the final thing to do before we pack up, close up shop, send our women of the night home like Sean's dad.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't expect you here.
was
Is the Fast and
TJ.
Furious minute 81, the minute I called Brian está loco.
Coño, pero ¿qué tú estás haciendo? Yo no puedo manejar. ¿Tú estás loco? ¡Wow! ¡Damn it!
So in this minute, police swerve out of the way of the roadblock that Brian and Roman caused last minute. Brian continues to dangle out his window to remove the ESD from the side of his car as Enrique struggles to keep their car driving straight. After several seconds, Brian is able to remove the ESD, restoring his car. He throws it at the cops in pursuit, hitting a car and causing more chaos. Cops continue to swerve to avoid more collisions, largely unsuccessfully. Brian and Roman laugh maniacally from their cars. And with the ESD safely removed, Brian's car returns to full performance as the minute ends. And I feel like I don't have a lot of takeaways from this because there's not a lot going on here. But I feel like I don't think of these action scenes. We've talked about this over and over again in the minute. I don't feel like these scenes are that long until we're like in minute 5 in a row of like ESDs. Yeah. Just like, oh yeah, like that's still the same scene.
I 100% agree with you. And I've had this thought many times when we're watching this. Like when we're like, how long is the race? And you're like, oh, it's like 12 minutes long.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, it doesn't feel like it.
1 minute every 3 weeks now, like a 12-minute long scene would be 9 months of those doing. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't have a lot to say here. I will save my one thing the one trivia question I have for later. But what did you notice here in this minute? You said you found a couple things after a few watches.
Just because we talked about it before, we get another shot of Brian's odometer, and the trip has gone up some, so I marked that. We're now at 4.1 miles on the car.
Oh, by the way, Alex Ellen was DMing me on Instagram. He's just like, I use the trip odometer all the time. I'm like, yeah, okay. He's like, yeah, but I'm a car guy. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'd never use it, but he's just like, some people use it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I use it. Like, we use it. But okay.
Fucking car guys, man.
Yes. So the car has been driven, and it's sequentially correct based on what's happening. So they're shooting this in chronological order, at least. I got something that was kind of a little bit of a white whale for me, and I was very proud of myself today. We finally get a nice shot of the model number of the screen in Brian's dash, so I could find that and link to it. Got everything that's written on it. It was impossible to read until like this specific shot, and although you can't read what's on the screen because it keeps like flickering and changing very quickly, I got the model number of the screen, so I was proud of that. If you want to buy the same screen that Brian has in his Lancer, there's the model number.
I will say that I do not want to, but thank you for doing the work.
You're welcome. And the other cool thing was I found exactly where this is shot. Used the sign as the cue of where it was. The sign is exit 2, and then it says 1 mile until that. The sign has changed since then, but if you go to the place, you can see that it's exactly where like all the cops kind of meet at the end type situation. It's right in front of that sign. So that's where it is. Found the sign for exit 2 and 1 mile by walking a mile back down the road on Google Maps and being like, yep, that's the place. So
I thought while watching this I was going to try to count the cop cars because there's so many cops in pursuit. But it's so hard. They're swerving so much. Head. It's so hard to do.
Get out of my head. Go ahead. Can I tell you what I was about to say?
Yeah,
this is my last thought. I had a trivia question. As you said, all weekend, been watching Super Wildcard Weekend. I brought it up before when we were talking about the letterbox game. You know what I thought my trivia question would be?
What is it?
12.5 over-under cop cars in this scene.
Oh, I think it's definitely over. Like, it's probably closer to 20, I would say, right? But I don't know.
Right? There's 12 at the last part. But considering he blows up one with, like, one of them, like, is getting smashed, so it is over 12.5. There's at least one more.
Okay, yeah, because it just feels like they keep coming. Like, cars crash into each other, they get hit with the ESD, they crash into one another, they swerve out of the way, others come. Like, it feels like there's, like, 20 or 25, but I don't know, because the one trivia question
you're saying it's so easy.
Here,
okay, fair.
I don't know if that is easy, but I just feel like there's just so many of them. And I also don't have a number in the doc. We could find the number. But, like, the one number I have, and I don't love this, but I feel like, even in my head, I know the answer to this question. But go ahead.
No, but that's why I was like over or under, you know what I mean? Like it's like a true or false question.
Right.
As opposed to like how many cop cars are there because it's very difficult to count. Right. But I thought the same thing as I was watching.
Because I feel like this is like flashing us back to like the first scene with like, there were 17 fires, garbage can fires in this one parking lot things. Were there more beer bottles or were there more, you know what I mean? Like that kind of candles, like that kind of thing.
Yep.
It's the closest we've had, I think, in a while. wasn't able to get an accurate enough count to include in here. But the question that I have, which I think is very minute, but also I
I
would
like it.
even without multiple choice answers, I would have guessed this.
Yes.
What color is the rag or cloth that Brian uses to remove the ESD from his car? I will let you listen to the podcast. Answer. What do you think it is? Say it in your head. This is like Dora the Explorer. Red. Yes, you're right. It's red.
It's a red bandana.
I would have guessed red. Yeah, I would have guessed red, but I don't know why I would have guessed red. But
Yellow's a good alternate. Black and then purple, right? Like all the like car and like accompaniment things. Yeah, white too. Good job. Yep, I was just about to say that. Yep.
And I honestly have no idea why I'm so confident on it being red. Like it feels like
I'm very
a level of
confident on being
confident
red,
of
too.
it being
Yep.
red in a way that I'm like, maybe it's not red. Like, why do I think it's so definitively red? But yeah,
Because most bandanas are red, and you remember it being a bandana type situation.
it's no terrible towel. I can tell you that much.
It's definitely not a terrible towel.
The name of the minute comes from so there's dialogue. There's not a lot of dialogue in here, but Roberto says to Roman, "Que pasa?" Like, what's going on? And then Enrique.
But don't we want to make this a dumber title? I like your title. I think it's the most appropriate. But considering it's the episode title,
I know,
like
but
it?
I also just think it's funny to like put out in the world that Brian Spillner, Brian O'Connor, Brian Walker, whatever, is crazy. Like, it's just like, do you have like a dumber name that you want to call it?
Oh, I was thinking like 1 mile from exit 2 or something. Like, like I like them with like weight that means nothing. I don't think that that's better or worse. I just think that like it's dumber. Like it seems like it's like, oh, what are they talking about? And it's like, oh, I just found a sign that said like exit 2 is 1 mile away and found where that was.
I think another reason I like this, and I just realized this now, is because like it reminds me of Kill Bill when Oren Ishii says to the bride, like, silly Caucasian girl thinks she can play with samurai sword, just like dumbass white people. Right? You know what I mean? Like, Brian, you fucking like, what are you doing? Because like
I like that as the title. Silly Caucasian girl thinks she can play with Japanese samurai swords. That means nothing to this episode, but that kind of works too.
I think it needs to be like based on how I have the text set up. I think it needs to be shorter. We'll figure it out. As I can't. Okay, so here's my new vow to you. Starting next minute, I will not name the minutes. We can name them in the episode. I have a fondness, and I can't explain why I have a fondness for this title. I just like the idea of like a picture of Brian being
I'm
goofy
not
and just saying,
anti it.
Brian está loco.
That's fine. Yeah, I don't think I don't think it's bad. I just like, yeah, I don't think it's bad or not good. I'm fine.
I can't explain why I like it, but I like it. But anyway, Enrique is yelling at him in Spanish for a while. I can't
It's
understand
aesthetically pleasing, just visually too. I kind of like it, like the.
I am worried if like Apple Podcasts will be able to parse the like A with a little tilde on top of it, but we're gonna find out. If you don't get an episode on Tuesday, it's because if you're not, I guess you can't. If you're hearing this, you have the episode.
Yeah, it's gonna be a question mark box.
Maybe
inside
very possibly
inside the title of this episode.
But at the end of his tirade, Enrique yelling at Brian, he says, "Estás loco." So crazy ass white boy. Anyway, anything else to say about this minute?
I feel like we're getting to the end of it. Talking about mailing in your homework, this one, I guess this is the natural progression to the end of the ESDs, but we're...
Oh, you're saying we're mailing in our homework?
No. Just like...
You're saying they're mailing in their homework?
Yeah, it feels like, okay, like we've dragged this out long enough now. Like, we got the ESD, we saw what happened, but obviously we're watching it minute by minute. This is really like, if we had never seen this movie before, this blows by. So
it just feels like the last minute. It's like, what happens? It's like, oh, well, Brian's trying to get the ESC out of his car. It's like, okay, this minute, like, what happens? Like, oh, well, Brian's trying to get the ESC out of his car, right? Like,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yes. Yeah. It's like, okay, we've rode this long enough. Like, we get it. He's driving and trying to take the thing out of the side. Like, fucking chuck it at the cop and let's get moving.
Yeah, but now that it's out, he's going to be free to get away. Like, I'm just excited that we're going to have the Suki and Tej scene soon. There's that's going to be like in months, because we had the whole scramble before.
Okay, yeah.
Good luck with the scramble, by the way, man.
Thanks. I'll be good. We'll be okay.
You're gonna catalog dozens of cars.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch on Car Internet Movie Data. I mean,
That's
like,
true.
There's a bunch of them. Like, it's just, and a lot of them are repeats, anyways, dude. Like, I'll find a bunch of them. I will.
The next episode we're doing in earnest on the feed is Furious 7 with Montez, and also, I think I teased in the last episode or just said it, special guest Brian Late Night Slumber Party Rodriguez. So if you want chaos, it's either going to be really normal or the worst episode we've ever had, like in a chaotic kind of way. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know which way it's going to go, but next episode, Furious 7 with 2 guests. So be here for that. Then we have The Last Witch Hunter with guest Mark Hoffmeyer, which we talked about. We will talk about that. That is our pit stop. And then we got Life in the Fast Lane, minute 82 in 3 weeks. Between now and then, though, patrons get a bonus episode of Ralph Breaks the Internet later this week. It's already out by the time you, a main feed listener, hear this. We will have our Fast X trailer review, and we will also have Justin Kleinman's patron episode of The First Purge, which is very exciting. Lots of bonus episodes. And also, I will tease, there's another bonus episode coming out too that we're not going to announce, but something else on the Patreon. Keep your eye on that. Like, genuinely, with like 3 bonus episodes in the next like 3 weeks. Like, if you're on the fence, and I don't know that people are still on the fence because I feel like by now you would have switched over. Like, if this is our family we're going to ride or die with, like, that's fine with me. But if you're on the fence, make the switch because there's entirely too many episodes coming out, I will say. I'll just say it. Yeah. Too many. Yep. I mean, give us more than $1 a month. Don't you want stickers? Don't you want to pick something? True. Don't you want to do a whole lap? True. Don't you want to flex on your friends by giving money to a podcast on the internet? True. Anyway.
Look, take the $5 you were going to spend on Iggy Azalea's OnlyFans.
Oh, it's more expensive than that.
Is it?
I think it's like, I looked, I think it's like 15 or 25.
Is this like sexy photos, or are we going to get buttholes in this?
I will read the description, hold on, because you can see the description of OnlyFans.
Oh, okay. And it tells you like posts. Buttholes or not buttholes? It like tells you if they're
$25 a month.
Jesus
Oh, it just says hotter than hell. Ooh. She was promising some like real steamy content or something.
I literally just, I need like a binary yes butthole, no butthole type situation. I just out of curiosity. Like that's, because like whenever these like celebrities make an OnlyFans, I'm always like, is this just going to be like stupid pictures? And most likely yes, for $25 a month. But then I was like, but there's a non-zero chance that you might just see like just full butthole.
I think if you saw something, you would know. I might also bleep out butthole. I don't know. We're gonna find out.
I wasn't saying anything bad.
I get it. But yeah, family friendly. Even though this has every podcast episode has an explicit line. But yes, if you want, instead of giving Iggy Azalea $25 a month, give us $5 or $10 a month, and then treat yourself to another something with the other 15 or 20. Right?
You won't see my butthole either.
You're paying us not to see it.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Probably for the best, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Any final thoughts that are not butthole related?
No, that's the only thing I can think about now. Once I said it, it's over. That was the whole thing.
Well, then, for all things Too Fast, Too Forever, you go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/TooFastTooForever, or at TooFastTooForever on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Great email bag today. Thank you all for ringing in. Do it again next time, please, and thank you, especially Wes. Just send in the single notes instead of like, hey, here's a backlog of my last 18 months worth of notes. It's like, guy, I don't remember any of these conversations. Although I think we remembered most of it, so I think he kind of oversold it, but yeah. Family@cageclub.me. Check out our Patreon page at TooFastTooForever.com and our store over on TeePublic, where we're not the podcast, we are Fast 2 Forever. And come back next week for Montez and Brian joining us for Furious 7. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too.
And we will tell you all about it
when we see you